welcome to your deep dive. Today, we're going to be like exploring, this whole minimalist entrepreneurship thing.
Minimalist entrepreneurship.
Using Sahil Lavingia's book, The Minimalist Entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think when you hear that phrase, you're kind of like, minimalist, entrepreneur, what? Those two don't really go together.
Yeah, it is funny.
But trust me, okay, this isn't about like pinching pennies.
Right.
You know, it's about building a business that's profitable and matches your values.
Okay, yeah.
So we're ditching the whole unicorn chase.
The unicorn chase.
That billion-dollar valuation dream.
Yeah.
And we're focusing on sustainability instead.
Got it.
Sahil Lavingia himself,
Yeah.
He started out chasing that unicorn.
Okay.
With Gumroad, his platform for creators.
Right. Interesting.
He found that it wasn't fulfilling.
Ah, I see.
At all.
Yeah, that's pretty common. That's interesting how that mirrors a common trap in the startup world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The venture capital model,
Okay.
while alluring, it often pushes founders toward unsustainable growth.
Oh, interesting.
High risk,
Yeah.
high reward,
Right.
and can sometimes prioritize rapid expansion over actual profitability.
So how does minimalist entrepreneurship actually, work? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it all begins with understanding, what minimalist really means.
Right.
It's about intentionality.
Okay.
Laser focus. You're building a business that, truly serves a community and brings you a sense of purpose.
Right.
Not just a, fat bank account.
Okay. I'm kind of starting to see the appeal here, But how do you make sure that your business can actually survive without constantly chasing investors?
Right. That's where the idea of being default alive comes in.
Default alive.
Yeah, it means your business can thrive, even without constant, infusions of outside capital.
Okay.
Imagine, a business that is profitable from day one, not burning through cash.
Right.
To chase some future valuation.
Okay, profitable from day one, that sounds pretty ideal, but is that realistic?
It's more achievable than you might think.
Okay.
It comes down to understanding your unit economics.
Okay.
Basically the cost of producing and selling each, unit of whatever it is you're offering.
Right.
If you can make sure you're making more money from each sale than it costs to make and deliver your product or service, then you're on the right track.
Okay.
This focus on early profitability is a huge difference from the VC world, where short-term losses are often seen as acceptable.
Yeah.
Growing pains.
So you're saying instead of betting on some future payout,
Right.
minimalist entrepreneurs are focused on building a solid foundation, from the very beginning.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful ways to build that foundation is through community. Lavingia argues that truly understanding and serving a specific community is essential for any, successful minimalist business.
Okay.
Take Saul Orwell and examine.com.
Examine.com.
Yeah, he started by simply sharing his notes from fitness books on Reddit.
Okay.
Which eventually grew into a thriving business. Imagine turning your knowledge into a valuable resource for a community and building a business around that.
But isn't that a bit risky? What if, no one's interested?
That's where the long game comes in.
Okay.
Lavingia stresses the importance of authentic participation and genuine contribution to a community before even thinking about a business idea.
Gotcha.
Don't go in with the sole intention of selling something.
Right.
Focus on providing value, building relationships, and becoming a trusted voice within that community.
So it's all about building trust and establishing yourself as a valuable resource before you even start selling anything.
Exact. Think of it this way. You're already part of various communities.
Right.
Online forums, social media groups, even your local neighborhood. What knowledge or skills do you have that could be valuable to those communities?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
And I've never really thought about it that way. It seems like a much more organic way to approach starting a business.
It is.
But what about actually like building the product or service?
This is where things get even more interesting.
Yep.
Lavingia challenges.
It's the traditional idea of an MVP, the minimum viable product.
Oh, yeah.
He advocates for a manual valuable process.
Manual valuable process.
Yeah. This means proving your concept
Okay.
and delivering value before building a full-fledged product.
Hold on. Can you give me like a real-world example of that?
Yeah.
That sounds a little abstract.
Think about endcrawl.com.
Endcrawl.com.
Yeah.
Okay. They help filmmakers create end credits.
For their films.
For their films, you know those long lists of names?
Oh, yeah, I see where you're going with this. That roll at the end.
How can you possibly do end credits manually? Like that seems incredibly tedious.
It was. They initially used just a Google Sheet and a script
Oh, wow.
to create the credits manually.
Interesting.
You know, and this simple process was a revelation.
Yeah.
For filmmakers used to expensive and clunky methods.
Right.
So Endcrawl tapped into a need and provided value all before they had any fancy software.
So the key takeaway here is that you can start small, test your ideas, and even generate revenue before investing in complex technology or building a fully automated product.
Precisely. It's all about resourcefulness and finding creative ways to deliver value in the early stages.
It makes a lot of sense, but I have to admit, the idea of like selling my skills or services before I have a fully developed product makes me a little nervous.
I understand sales.
I'm not really a salesperson.
Sales can be a daunting aspect of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But, Lavingia assures us it doesn't have to be sleazy or pushy.
Right.
In fact, it can be a natural extension of the relationships you've already built within your community.
So it's not about, cold calling or aggressive. It's not at all.
Marketing tactics.
It's about having genuine conversations. Understanding people's needs.
Right.
And offering solutions that provide real value. Think about Cheryl Sutherland.
Go.
Who bootstrapped her company Please Notes through Kickstarter.
Please Notes, okay.
She relied heavily on her existing network of friends and family for initial sales.
Interesting.
It's a reminder that your personal network can be your first and most supportive customer base.
That's a great point. But even with, a supportive network, the fear of rejection, can be really paralyzing.
Yeah, I get that.
What advice does Lavingia offer for those of us who struggle with the idea of hearing no?
He offers a brilliant reframing. Instead of dreading rejection, he suggests viewing every sales conversation, even the ones that result in a no, as an opportunity for learning and improvement.
Interesting.
Each no provides valuable insight into your target audience, helps you refine your pitch, and ultimately leads to a better product or service.
That's a really interesting perspective. It takes the pressure off of having to close every sale. And that makes the whole process feel, less intimidating.
Exactly. Remember, you're not just trying to sell something.
Right.
You're building relationships, you're learning, and you're iterating along the way.
That makes sense.
And speaking of building relationships, let's dive into another crucial aspect of building a successful business: marketing.
Okay, this is where my inner social media enthusiast gets excited, so I'm all ears.
Well, get ready to be even more excited because Lavingia emphasizes a minimalist approach to marketing. No need for flashy, expensive campaigns right out the gate. It all starts with building an authentic audience and turning strangers into fans. And the best way to do that is by simply being yourself.
So no need for fancy marketing schemes or trying to trick people into buying my product.
Not at all. Lavingia advocates for genuine connection and valuable content. He uses the incredible story of the Missouri Star Quilt Company.
The Missouri Star Quilt Company, okay.
To illustrate this point, they transformed a tiny quilt shop into a global empire.
Wow.
Through YouTube tutorials.
Oh, wow.
Connecting with quilting enthusiasts online and sharing their passion.
Imagine building a business by simply sharing your knowledge and enthusiasm with the world. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But how do you go from like sharing your passion to actually getting people to buy your product or service?
That's where Lavingia's minimalist marketing funnel comes in.
All right.
It's all about leveraging social media and SEO, search engine optimization.
Okay. SEO.
Think of social media as your platform for storytelling.
Okay.
You can educate, inspire, and entertain your audience, showcasing your expertise and building a loyal following. And SEO is all about making sure your content is easily discoverable by people who are actively searching for information related to your business.
I get the social media part, but SEO always seems a bit like technical and intimidating.
Yeah.
Any tips on how to make it less scary?
Remember, SEO is not about trying to game the system with a bunch of keywords. It's about understanding what your target audience is searching for online and creating content that genuinely answers their questions and provides value.
So it's about being helpful and informative.
Yes.
Not just trying to manipulate search engines.
Laura Roeder, the founder of Paperbell. And Mita Detker. It's a great example of this. You know, she focused on creating SEO-driven content that genuinely helped her target audience, which is coaches in her case. And she saw significant organic growth as a result.
This is all starting to make sense.
Yeah.
You know, you've got your solid foundation built on community and profitability.
Yeah.
You're building relationships and providing value through marketing.
Exactly.
But what happens when your business starts to grow?
That's a great question, and one that many entrepreneurs grapple with. You know, in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore Lavingia's insights on sustainable growth, hiring, and building a company culture that reflects your values.
Can't wait to hear more. This is really making me rethink the whole entrepreneurial journey.
Good.
So, so let's dig into this idea of sustainable growth. You know, it seems a little counterintuitive, right? We're talking about minimalist entrepreneurship, but we still want to see our businesses grow.
Absolutely. Growth is important, but it's crucial to approach it intentionally. You know, focusing on building a business that can thrive in the long run. Lavingia stresses the importance of profitability as the foundation of sustainable growth. You know, you can't truly grow if you're constantly struggling to stay afloat.
Makes sense, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially those who are just starting out, might be wondering, like, how do you even get to that point of profitability? You know, it can feel like a distant goal when you're in the thick of building a business.
You're absolutely right. Early stage businesses often require a lot of upfront investment, whether it's in marketing, product development, or simply keeping the lights on. But Lavingia argues that prioritizing profitability from the beginning, even if it means starting smaller or growing more slowly, is ultimately more sustainable. He uses the example of the Missouri Star Quilt Company again, but this time to highlight the challenges they faced as their business scaled rapidly.
So even a successful business like the Missouri Star Quilt Company had to, you know, navigate growing pains. Interesting.
They had a model where the same employees handled both retail and online orders, which worked fine initially. But as their online sales exploded, thanks to their YouTube success, this model started to crumble.
So suddenly they were faced with massive logistical challenges.
Exactly. More inventory, more shipping, more customer service inquiries.
So they had to make some tough decisions to keep up with.
They did, exactly. They ultimately chose to separate their retail and online operations, which meant investing in new warehouses, increasing inventory, and hiring more employees. These were significant expenses, but because they'd focused on profitability from the start, they were able to make these investments without putting the business at risk. It's a powerful illustration of how profitability gives you the freedom to make strategic investments in growth, even when unexpected challenges arise.
This is a great reminder that growth isn't always, you know, smooth sailing, even for businesses that seem like they have it all figured out. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially those who are like,
Right.
bootstrapping or working with limited resources, might be hesitant to invest in things like HR early on. It can seem like an unnecessary expense when you're trying to keep costs low.
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
And Lavingia admits that he made that mistake.
He did.
Himself with Gumroad.
Oh, wow.
He put off hiring an HR person thinking he could manage it all on his own.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that.
Yeah.
You're wearing so many hats in those early stages. And it can feel like really overwhelming to add yet another responsibility to the mix.
Absolutely. But the Missouri Star Quilt Company example shows that investing in HR early on can actually save you a lot of headaches down the road as your team grows.
Yeah.
The complexities of managing people increase exponentially.
Okay.
Think about payroll, benefits, performance reviews,
Right.
even conflict resolution.
Right.
These become much more challenging as you scale.
It's like anything else, right? Sometimes it's better to bring in an expert than to try to do everything yourself, even if it means, spending a little more upfront.
Okay.
But let's talk about another big investment, funding.
Okay.
A lot of entrepreneurs might be wondering, how to fuel growth without giving up control of their businesses. Is venture capital the only option?
Not at all.
Okay.
Lavingia explores alternative funding models, especially crowdfunding, which has become incredibly popular, especially for entrepreneurs who want to maintain more control and build a strong community around their businesses.
I think a lot of people associate crowdfunding with creative projects or inventions.
Right.
But it can be a viable option for all sorts of businesses, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Lavingia sees crowdfunding as a powerful way to align the interests of customers and investors. Ideally, your investors should also be your biggest fans and advocates.
Okay.
People who genuinely believe in your mission and want to see you succeed.
Okay.
He shares the example of Jelani Memory.
Okay.
And a kid's book about...
Yeah. Okay.
Which experienced a surge in sales and support
Wow.
after the murder of George Floyd.
Oh, wow.
It speaks to the power of building a business that resonates with people's values and creating a community that's truly invested in your success.
That's so inspiring. But even with passionate supporters, scaling a business presents all sorts of logistical hurdles. You're dealing with inventory, shipping, customer service.
Right.
It can quickly become, overwhelming.
You're right.
Okay.
And a kid's book about faced that very challenge as demand for their books skyrocketed.
Wow.
It highlights the importance of being prepared for those operational challenges and having systems in place to handle growth.
So it's not just about having a great product and a passionate community. You need that operational infrastructure to support that growth.
Yeah.
But beyond the practicalities, what about the heart of a business, the culture? It seems like that often gets overlooked, especially in the hustle of trying to grow and scale.
You've hit on a crucial point.
Okay.
Lavingia argues that defining your company's values from the very beginning is absolutely essential for attracting the right people.
Okay.
And building a team that's truly aligned with your vision.
As they say, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
I love that quote.
But defining your values can feel a bit, abstract. How do you actually translate that into a tangible company culture?
Lavingia uses the example of
a wild bit.
A software company that's been around for over 2 decades.
Okay.
One of their core values is being product agnostic.
Product agnostic.
Now, you might be thinking, isn't that a bit counterintuitive for a software company?
That does seem a bit strange.
Yeah.
Aren't businesses supposed to focus on, building and expanding their product lines?
You would think so. But Wildbit recognized that sometimes, holding on to a product that's no longer serving their customers or aligning with their goals can actually hinder overall growth.
Right.
They weren't afraid to let go
Interesting.
of products that weren't thriving.
Okay.
Even if it felt counterintuitive.
So they prioritized their values.
Yes.
Even when it meant making tough decisions about their products.
Exactly. And it paid off.
Okay.
They were able to pour their energy into products that were showing more promise. And as a result, the company continued to grow and evolve.
This is a great example of how clearly defined values can guide you through difficult decisions and help you stay true to your core mission.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've built this amazing business. You know, it's sustainable, it's profitable.
Right.
It's aligned with our values.
Yeah.
But now what?
Right.
Like, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What does this what's next phase, you know, look like?
It's that feeling of reaching the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Only to see an entirely new range in the distance. Exciting and a little daunting.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all answer.
Right. Not at all.
There are different ways to approach this what's next phase.
Exactly. One option is to, you know, double down on your existing business.
Okay.
Pour more energy, resources.
Yeah.
Maybe even bring in some outside investment to accelerate growth. If you're passionate about what you've built and see a ton of potential, this could be the perfect next chapter.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what about those of us who are, you know, feeling a little restless? Maybe we're ready for like a brand new challenge.
That entrepreneurial spirit is often a restless one.
It is.
Lavingia gets that.
Okay.
He suggests, you know, exploring entirely new ideas.
Okay.
Think of it as leveling up.
Leveling up, okay.
You could even start a new business that leverages, you know, the skills and knowledge you've gained from your current venture.
So it's not about abandoning what you've built. It's more like channeling your entrepreneurial energy into a new direction.
Precisely.
Okay.
And then there's the option that might feel the most difficult. Letting go.
Letting go.
Entirely.
Entirely.
Okay.
It could be selling your business or stepping back from day-to-day operations.
Right.
This can be especially tough.
Yeah.
If you've, you know, poured your heart and soul into the company.
It's like saying goodbye to something you've nurtured and grown.
It is.
But sometimes letting go is the best way to make space for
new possibilities, right?
Exactly. Lavingia emphasizes that letting go isn't a failure. It's a natural evolution.
Okay.
You might free up time to pursue other passions or simply, you know, enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Okay.
He even shares some inspiring stories of entrepreneurs who've made this transition successfully.
Interesting.
You know, some started new businesses, some became investors, and some simply chose to like step back and enjoy life.
It's a good reminder that there's no one right way to define success.
Right.
It's about finding what brings you fulfillment.
Yeah.
And aligns with your values.
Exactly.
And that might change over time.
It does. This brings us back to the concept of ikigai we discussed earlier.
Right.
Remember that intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for.
It's that sweet spot where your passions, your skills in the market all align.
But as we've been discussing, you know that sweet spot can shift and evolve throughout your entrepreneurial journey.
It can, and that's okay.
It is.
Minimalist entrepreneurship is about embracing that evolution. It's about being adaptable to change.
Right.
And constantly seeking that sense of fulfillment and purpose, both in your business and in your life.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
You know, I feel like you have a whole new toolkit for navigating the entrepreneurial world.
It's not about chasing unicorns or conforming to some outdated model.
No.
It's about building something meaningful, sustainable, and truly aligned with your values.
And it's about remembering that entrepreneurship is a journey, not a destination. It's about finding your own pace, building something you're proud of, and enjoying the ride along the way.
So if you're feeling inspired by what we've discussed today, remember this. Start small.
Yes.
Focus on building a strong community and create something that brings you joy.
Absolutely.
Minimalist entrepreneurship is all about creating a business and a life that you truly love.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep building.